if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
Cameras flashed, reporters jostled for position, and spectators whispered in eager anticipation. Everyone was waiting for one thing: how Sean Combs would react as 50 Cent's Bombshell, Netflix documentary about his alleged crimes that to make publicized. Its effect and what followed was unexpected and beyond anyone's prediction. As it turns out, the answer lies in a complex web of relationships. Diddy, the once untouchable music mogul, collapsed right there in court. But how did one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop find himself at the center of one of the biggest scandals in entertainment history? Personally, I've never met Diddy, but when you do wrong, it comes back on you. So, none of us should be surprised. Charges, rivals, and explosive power. At the center of it all is a revelation that has never shied away from exposing the most sinister secrets inside the business. Curtis 50 Cent. 50 Cent has been hinting about Diddy's dubious behavior for years, but with the release of his Netflix documentary, the full extent of those accusations have finally surfaced. Not only is Diddy's legal team frantically trying to contain the damage, but the entire hip-hop community is watching as the walls close in around the founder of Bad Boy Records. Removing the outermost layer, you need to do some serious inside work, and you have the means and money to get the finest of everything. Quit wasting money and energy trying to hide your falsehoods, and instead use them to address your truth. The claims against Diddy have moved from being quiet murmurs to major media coverage and many lawsuits in recent months. Due to federal accusations and the intervention of high-ranking legal authorities, this once beloved figure is now a man battling for his freedom. Now let's take a little detour. Behind the flashing lights and pricey suits, there has always been an undercurrent of rumors suggesting something darker was lurking beneath the surface. You saw in that video that it completely destroyed Diddy's credibility. Diddy's public persona has always been larger than life, glitzy, glamour, endless parties, and hit after hit. He built an empire from the ground up, turning Bad Boy Records into a dominant force in the music industry. Began to fall apart at the end of the previous year, and the news sent shockwaves across the industry when Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit accusing him of years of psychological torture, manipulation, and coercion. Who was this apology for? I'll tell you who it was for. Diddy's ego was his brain. You were on camera doing this. Diddy and his handlers are viewing this entirely incorrectly. Diddy has never shied away from controversy or publicly criticizing others. Long before these legal cases gained widespread attention, Diddy had been hinting at his dubious behavior through interviews and scavenger posts on social media, as well as through blatant references to the kinds of parties he allegedly hustled. Cassie, who had been dating Diddy for more than 10 years, was long perceived as his glamorous companion, going to prestigious events with him and making public appearances as a member of his inner circle. However, her lawsuit painted a very different picture, as the court documents show that the relationship was far from played. Rather than the idyllic picture that the media had painted of her, Cassie claimed that Diddy had complete control over every aspect of her life and had forced her into circumstances she didn't want to be in. It's intriguing that we haven't seen the indictments yet. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic evidence. Days after Cassie's lawsuit was made public, more accusations started to surface, leading other women to come forward with their own, equally unsettling stories. More than the last one, but it wasn't only women who made accusations. His former workers also started speaking out, portraying a hostile workplace full of intimidation and fear. An insider said everyone knew what was going on, but few dared cross him. As the press dug more into Day's background, they discovered disturbing stories that went back decades, in which people from all corners of the entertainment world came out to say that your career was gone as these revelations mounted. Validate rumors that had been circulating for years in the industry about Diddy engaging in conduct at private events that went beyond any reasonable bounds. Some sources claim that these events were not your typical celebrity get-togethers, but rather carefully orchestrated productions featuring some of the most powerful figures in the industry. Thanks to the 50 Cent documentary, these stories were finally given the exposure they deserved, and you didn't apologize for lying and saying you didn't do what you knew. No, I just see that if I see him one day, I know for a fact that he'll be behind bars. So it doesn't matter what he does now, but 50 wasn't messing around this time with the documentary he produces for Netflix. For years, these claims were written off as part of a long-standing feud between the two. After all, Diddy and 50 Cent have been at odds for nearly 2 decades, with both trading public jobs over everything from business deals to personal beasts. Is a well-researched expose that compiles years' worth of charges, not merely a hit piece on his adversary. Papers that have leaked and insider testimony. Numerous individuals who had worked for Diddy or been part of his social circles were reportedly interviewed by the production team.
I've never met Diddy a day in my life, but when you do wrong, it comes back on you. So,
increasing number of legal issues. One former associate reportedly told the filmmakers that they were finally ready to speak out. It was only a matter of time until everything fell apart, and now we hear that one of the accusers may soon appear before a grand jury in New York. This accuser is from Detroit, and when everything came to an end, the most explosive charges made against Diddy concerned his alleged ties to illegal activity dating back many years. Some of these allegations are connected to incidents that happened while he was at the height of his fame, when Bad Boy Records ruled the charts. Thus, many were taken aback by the methodical aspect of the charges, suggesting that the episodes in the eyes were not isolated incidents, but rather a part of a larger pattern of activity. The documentary claimed that this pattern of behavior included not just Diddy, but also a network of others who assisted in his crimes. I believe that industry buzz is that many individuals have worked with him, and there have been rumors floating about that are, not really out of the ordinary. In the 50 Cent documentary, one of the most incriminating aspects is the emphasis on Diddy's inner circle. Those closest to him who reportedly ignored what was taking place. According to some accounts, Diddy trusted a group of people he could trust to handle the messy parts of his personal life and make sure certain events remained hidden from the public. There are even rumors that some of his associates may have encouraged or participated in the behavior that is currently the focus of federal investigations. These 2 raids on his own residences in Miami and Los Angeles are the source of the purported evidence in this case, and the indictment names, while purportedly concealing a much darker side of his life, this tactic has worked for decades up until now. I'll tell you why. 50 is diabolical genius. Following lawsuits and growing public scrutiny, federal authorities started to take the allegations against Diddy seriously. The FBI and other agencies then launched investigations into Diddy's activities, leading to raids on his properties in Miami and Los Angeles. According to leaks, insider investigators searched for evidence to support the claims made in the various lawsuits, such as surveillance footage. The answer, according to the 50 Cent documentary, lies in Diddy's immense power and influence within the entertainment industry. Over the years, he cultivated relationships with some of the most influential figures in Hollywood, the music industry, and even politics. He used these connections to uphold a public image of success and respectability. That is the thing that they allegedly made videos of these performances, as that has been named, footage, financial documents, and electronic records. What they discovered was sufficient to bring the case to light and result in Diddy's arrest on charges of conspiracy and other serious offenses. The problem is that he appears to be trying to kind of impose his authority and power on individuals who aren't really interested in it. So these of Diddy's legal issues got worse. Without holding back, 50 Cent took to social media, sharing cryptic messages and memes that fueled more rumors. One post in particular caught our attention because it featured a photoshopped picture of Diddy next to a bottle labeled Diddy Oil, a jab at reports that police had seized more than 1,000 bottles of suspicious substances during the raid. I have been informing W about the strange things that 50 Cent put in the title, and you know that they were once co-workers. They're not friends. Now that they are no longer friends, 50 has taken every shot And yes, the timing of the documentary couldn't have been worse for Diddy, particularly since Diddy has passed away. Not only was he up against numerous legal battles, but he was also losing ground in the public eye. Although some of his closest allies at first stood by him, cracks appeared in his support system, and a list of celebrities who had previously publicly praised Diddy started to quietly distance themselves from him. Major brands turned away from partnerships, according to one source, who also claimed that some of the biggest names in the business were told to break their connections with Diddy in order to avoid becoming embroiled in the scandal that was developing. They said, because they know if something crazy is going on, if they send it to me, I'll make sure to get out there, like as far as this video. And the ripple effects weren't limited to the entertainment sector. Diddy's impact went far beyond music, and his fall from grace was upending the business and charitable worlds as well. For years, he had presented himself as a self-made businessman who had built his empire via grit.
Changing the top layer. You got to do some real internal work, and you have all the money, all the resources to have access to the best everything. Stop spending the money and using the
8 civil lawsuits against Diddy have been filed since November. 7 of them accuse him of assault. The documentary implies that Diddy manipulated others with his wealth and power. Industry figures, some of whom it suggested might have been complicit in covering up his behavior. The documentary doesn't name names, but it strongly implies that certain individuals knew what was happening but chose to look the other way in exchange for career benefits or financial rewards, fostering a climate in which he could act without fear of repercussions. But as more victims come forward and the cases against him mount, it's becoming evident that Diddy's days of being untouchable are over. I can't wait for everyone to learn the truth about what's really been going on behind the scenes, because that's when the story really gets interesting. It's not just about Diddy's downfall. It's about the bigger picture for the hip-hop community and the music business as a whole. As more information becomes available, the issue is no longer only what Diddy did, but also how the whole industry let it occur. This leads to the discussion of 50 Cent's larger cultural effect, which transcends the personal rivalry between the 2 largest figures in hip-hop. What changes will the information in this documentary bring about? The method. We examine the impact of one of the most significant personalities in music history and consider what this means going forward for a sector that has long been plagued by its own mode. Dark secrets is my first response, because that's how I usually feel in circumstances like this. And then there's this strange sadness, because, it's Diddy. There's this strange grief that another of our heroes apologized to Cassie in that video, but he also ought to have apologized to the whole public to whom he had misled. So what exactly is in this documentary that's generating so much buzz? Apparently, it's not limited to the court issues that are presently making news. The documentary spans decades, following Diddy's ascent to stardom and scrutinizing the suspicions that have dogged him since the 1990s. One of its more contentious features delves into Diddy's interactions with other prominent individuals in the music industry, the people close to him. And now that he has a Netflix partnership, he's taking action that no one else would have dared to take. He's turning those whispers into a thorough inquiry. Rick, mate, I'm your life for a few enjoyable moments. Although this is nothing new, the intriguing thing is that it's not only about what 50 Cent is saying, it's also about how he says it. 50 is the master of the media game, and for months now, he has been using his social media presence to create anticipation for the documentary with cryptic posts. Publish each and every meme. Every prank Diddy has pulled up until now has been a part of a bigger plan to keep the public's attention on this story. And let's face it, 50 Cent has been social media trolling Diddy for years, criticizing everything from his business decisions to his personal life. So when Diddy's legal problems began to mount, it wasn't exactly shocking that 50 Cent would be the one to take the fall for it. Puffy is the acceptable monster right now, just as R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this sofa. So who's next? You guys don't see the lineup. Things have reached a new level. So why does Puffy? Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Yes, let's not overlook the historical background of this conflict. The 50 and Diddy feud dates back over 20 years, to a period when both of them were fighting for supremacy in the hip-hop industry. Diddy, with his flamboyant persona and greater-than-life, while 50 Cent was the tenacious underdog who battled his way to the top with singles like In Do Club from his now iconic first album. Persona was already a household brand. They both developed their careers in quite different ways. Diddy from the streets with his raw lyrics and no-holds-barred attitude, and Diddy from the boardroom with his blend of music, fashion, and business savvy. But here's what makes this study even more intense. Diddy was well known for his glamorous parties and elite connections. It was always 50 Cent who was prepared to tear it. To expose the dishonesty in the industry, he didn't care to mingle with the rich or play nice to keep the money coming in. And that's precisely why those who have followed 50 Cent's career know that he never backs down from a challenge, and this documentary is no different. In fact, it seems as though 50 has been preparing for this moment for years, dropping clues and calling out dubious behavior in the industry, particularly when it comes to Diddy. Long before these lawsuits and criminal charges came to light, 50 was alerting people to the strange energy surrounding Diddy's famous parties. You would still be lying to us now if you didn't even apologize to C for the lack of a video. That's the thing. If the accusations made in the 50 Cent's documentary are even slightly accurate, Diddy may not be the only prominent figure in the music industry to be brought down with him. According to a source close to the matter, at least 5 high-ranking executives have been advised to seek legal counsel in case things worsen. These labels are aware of the potential damage this could cause if any new information surfaced. A chain reaction that might collapse. The difference between New York City and California is that many people there don't know how to say no, which is why some of the biggest names in the industry don't trust anyone in Hollywood. However, 50 Cent isn't stopping there. He's also including some of his most powerful allies in the discussion. Imam, for instance, is one of the few people in the hip-hop industry who has stayed relatively clean when it comes to scandals. Documentary. Everyone is focused on Eminem's position. Some reports claim that the rapper has been estranged from Diddy for years, so it's not surprising that his name is being used now that 50 is exerting pressure. However, it's not only Eminem. Having had her own ups and downs in the business, Nicki Minaj has also shown her support for 50 Cent. She previously said in an interview that 50 is a model of perseverance, and for that reason, his colleagues see him as credible. It's a moment of reckoning not just for Diddy, but for the entire culture with FF. Y'all don't even know FF is play around if you want to. Fifth is different, and he's on tour even though he's not just a social media troll looking for attention. Because he's not just a guy who built an empire from nothing and has always been straight up about calling out the wrongs he sees in the industry. When someone like 50 Cent decides to take on someone as that's actions. Considering that many of these executives have established ties with moguls, it's no secret that they have a fear this documentary would highlight the less positive aspects of those partnerships. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say that individuals just volunteer falsehoods when they get up every day. Diddy, how are we to trust anything you say? Moreover, why shouldn't we believe the stories of what's flowing through your tongue when you're out here bragging about your big, bold lies? So what comes next? Will he remain imprisoned in this facility until the trial begins? Is there any chance that he could be moved earlier as of right now? Of course, as I already mentioned, they will be appealing this matter to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in an attempt to overturn the judge's order and free him as one person. Industry. BEIND put it this way. Everyone is having to come to terms with the fact that they don't want to be the next name on the list, so they're rushing to clear their records before it's too late. This is a long overdue shift, and the 50 Cent documentary is only the start of what could be a major cultural shift in the music industry. As the world watches this drama play out, one thing is certain. This isn't the end of the story. Rather, it's just the beginning. The effects of this documentary are already being felt. and the hip-hop community is anticipating what will happen next. Will additional secrets surface? Will more influential people have to face their own reckoning? Please share your ideas in the comments section below, and until next time, pay attention.